Hey everyone, today we're going to go through how you can scale and personalize your cold email campaigns with AI. Now this tutorial is going to be a bit more detailed and a bit longer than some of my other videos. So get a cup of water, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever you want, and get ready for this tutorial. Today we're going to be using a number of different tools to what we usually use. So I'm just going to go through those now, and then we're going to get straight into the build. So the first tool we'll be using today is Apollo.io. So for those of you who haven't used Apollo before, Apollo is a all-in-one go-to-market platform. And what that basically means is they have a leads database, a CRM, as well as a email sending platform, all bundled into one SaaS product. And the best thing about it is they have great product, but it's also quite affordable. So if you look at their pricing, they have a very generous free plan starting at $0. And to be honest, you can spend a lot of time on their free plan before you run into limits. But they also have very affordable basic professional and organization plans. Now they're a super fast growing startup, so I don't think they're going to be going away anytime soon, but get on Apollo.io because everyone is these days. The second tool we'll be using is Dumpling AI, which is my product, and we'll be using this to research some of the leads so that we can personalize the cold emails. Now, for those of you who have used Apollo.io, you might be saying, why can't we just use Apollo for that? And they do have a AI email writing functionality, but in my testing of it, I haven't been able to get really good outputs. So I've just preferred to do my own email personalization, and it's not super hard, and we'll go through it today. So I've been using Dumpling AI with make.com, which is the tool we always use for all of our AI automations. The final major piece that in our automations will be OpenAI. So this is not ChatGPT, this is the OpenAI API platform. So if you don't have this set up yet in make.com, you're going to need to go to openai.com, or more specifically platform.openai.com, and set up your API keys. So it'll look like this. Once you signed up, go to this page, generate your secret key, and you'll be ready to go. Cool. So what are we building today? Today, we're going to go through how you can scale and personalize cold email outreach. So first question is, why even do this? So luckily for this one, it's quite simple. The reason people do cold email outreach is generally for lead gen. So whether you need to generate business for yourself, or you're just doing it as a service for your clients, generating new business via cold email outreach is a tried and tested method. And I'm sure because you're watching this video, I probably don't need to convince you of the value of cold email outreach, but just to give you some ideas, I know lots of B2B SaaS companies do this, lots of agencies do this. And to be honest, in my experience, it's one of the easiest services to sell just because the ROI is so clear. If you can deliver 5, 10, hundreds of new customers reliably to any sort of business, they will be willing to pay. And especially if that business has a higher ticket offering where each customer is worth thousands, if not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, they will be willing to pay you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per lead. So this is one of those skills that I would say is very easy to sell, but at the same time is also quite competitive because of the immense amount of value that you can deliver with this. Anyways, let's talk about what we're going to build today. So we're going to build a system using Apollo.io for our leads, as well as Apollo.io for our outreach, but we're going to do our own personalization. So Apollo.io will handle the scale part of the equation, whereas we are going to build out the personalization ourselves using make.com, Dumpling AI, as well as OpenAI, or what lots of people like to call ChatGPT. Cool. So to map out the process, what we're going to do is we're first going to search and compile a list of leads on Apollo. Right. And then 2, we're going to export list of leads into Google Sheets or something similar. You can use Airtable as well. What we're going to do next is scrape research these leads with Dumpling AI, then use make.com/OpenAI to generate personalized first lines. So first lines, for those of you who don't know, are when you do cold outreach campaigns, you generally have some sort of template for what's being sent. So just to give you a quick idea here, if I have a new sequence, let's just pick one of the templates here. You'll have an initial email that goes out, right? So you'll have a template usually going around like the value prop of what you're offering or pain points that your customers might be facing. And generally what a lot of people will do in order to improve the efficacy of this is they will have a first line. So the first line will just be this first paragraph. So you might insert a customized first line. And if you're doing this manually, what people will do is they'll go to the prospect's LinkedIn, go to the company website, look at news and all that sort of stuff, and then come up with something custom. So maybe you might reference the person's favorite football team or like a recent event in their town or in their company. If their company's recently raised, you might say, oh, I saw your company recently raised a 200 million Series D in the news. Congratulations, blah, blah, just to make the email very personalized before then moving on into more of the templatized email. So we'll be doing all that here. So we'll scrape the leads, mainly their websites, and then we'll be generating the custom cold lines, first lines with make.com and OpenAI. Finally, we will be importing our first lines back into Apollo.io. We will then be setting up the sequences. So as you just saw, Apollo.io has inbuilt sequences. So email sequences. So if you just saw here, you can build these sequences in Apollo.io. So you can do like an email on day 1, and then if they don't respond, an email on day 4, day 7, and you can sort of customize this quite deeply. So we'll be doing that. And then finally, we'll just be pressing play. So starting off the workflow. Cool. So with that all planned out and ready to go, let's get into it. This is, again, I'm going to reiterate, this is going to be a longer video than what I usually do. We're going to go through all of this together. So I'm not going to edit out all of the mistakes and sort of the roadblocks I'm going to run into. So we're going to work through all of those together. If you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback throughout this video, make sure you write it in the comment section as it comes up, because I know a lot of people sort of have these questions, and then because the tutorial is quite long, they forget by the end. So if you have these questions, make sure you comment it below and sort of just post it as you go. And I'm sure if you have a question, other people watching this video are going to have the same question. So let's all learn together and build amazing AI automation systems. Cool. Let's get into it. So step 1, we're going to search and compile a list of leads on Apollo.io. So what we're going to do today, as an example, we're just going to pretend we're doing it for Dumpling AI, which is my business. So we do AI automation services, and we also have a product that helps people research companies, scrape data, and all that sort of stuff, extract data from PDFs, docs, emails, all that sort of stuff. So first, what we need to do is go to this search icon in Apollo.io. If you haven't signed up, just sign up. It's all free. Once you're signed up, you get taken, I think, to the search page anyways. So what I'm going to do first is clear everything, just so we're starting from a blank slate here. And what we're going to do first is think about who we are targeting, right? So if I'm building offering AI automation, and I'm offering a service, a product where we can extract data and all that sort of stuff, I can target a whole range of different personas and industries. But what I've found is that there is a very strong use case here, particularly in the sales and marketing space. And just for this tutorial, I'm probably going to focus mainly on the marketing. And specifically, I've found that the marketing use case is around either like competitor monitoring or just content generation, and all the time it's for B2B. So we're slowly sort of narrowing down what our ideal customer profile is. But step one here is really to come up with what your ideal customer is. For this tutorial, it doesn't matter too much because we're just going through the build, but that's sort of the level of detail you need at a minimum for this to be effective. So just what I just said. So like, let's say marketing managers at B2B companies with between 10 to 50 people looking at competitor monitoring, that sort of stuff. So that's like the minimum level of detail that you would need for something like this. So if you're doing this for a client or for yourself, make sure you invest the time to come up with that ideal customer profile before you do any of this. And that is arguably the most important thing you can be doing. All of this stuff is really just the execution. That stuff is more on the strategy side. And if you don't get that right, everything you do here will kind of be pointless. Cool. And before I move on, if you do want me to make a video on how you can identify your ideal customer profile, how you can define it, I can make a video on that. If you want, just leave a comment below and I'll know that people do want to see stuff like that and I can make that video. Anyways, let's go with what we said. So what I usually do is first filter the email status. And this is just so I don't forget. And what this is this is referring to the quality of the email. So Apollo has millions, I think, I can't remember, 275 million leads in their database, right? Some of these leads will have high quality emails than others. So some of the emails are like guessed or like imported from other sources. So they're lower quality. The problem with using lower quality emails is you will ruin the deliverability score on your inbox. So when you're sending these emails from your email inbox or your email address, the number of bounces and level of engagement, all that sort of stuff will feed into ultimately like the deliverability of your emails. So if you keep sending to email addresses that are invalid or your emails keep bouncing and keep going into spam, what will eventually happen is none of your emails will go through because your deliverability score will drop way too much. So this is not a foolproof way. I know a lot of people will verify the emails before they even send, and there's a lot of tools out there for that. But I find that Apollo.io's ratings here are a good initial starting point. And with all these things in cold email outreach, cold email campaigns, there's sort of X levels of complexity that you can go into. But I think Apollo.io, again, is a great starting point. Cool. So this is the email status filter. But what I'm going to do first is add in some job titles. So we said marketing manager, right? Now let's think about, maybe let's narrow it down further. Maybe we want to talk to content marketing managers because we can help them generate more AI content at scale. Let's go with that. Let's go with that use case. It's a bit more narrow, so it's a bit easier to reason about. So let's do content marketing manager as our title. So let's click that. And you can see we've still got 9.9 thousand leads in here. So it's a lot. And you can see that like these are all companies. You might have heard of some of these companies, but these are all like real companies, real people. And you can even click through the links to sort of view their LinkedIn. So these are all real people and you can search through all of this very, very easily. And I'm actually on the free plan for Apollo.io on this account. So yeah, there's so much power in this platform, even on the free plan. So this is just an example lead that I just opened. Cool. So this is still, I would say, a bit too broad. So let's continue narrowing down. You can use department and job function if you want. You can target like chief marketing officers, all that sort of stuff as well. Maybe we'll target owners as well, founders, C-suite, partners, VPs, heads. So all senior decision makers, maybe directors. Let's do that. Cool. So we've really narrowed it down. So maybe what I'm actually going to do here is remove this. And then I'm going to change this to senior people, but in the marketing function. So if we do content marketing here, cool. So we've got a whole load of people now, 33,000 leads still. Great. Now, for a lot of these campaigns or a lot of companies that you might do this for your own business, you probably have some sort of geographic focus. So whether you're focused on the US market, focused on, I don't know, London, something like that, you can change this. For me, for us, let's just do US. It's the classic. Let's do that. Number of employees. So a lot of companies will have targets around company size. If you're a SMB focus, enterprise focus, mid-market focus, you can sort of pick your poison here. I'm going to go between 10 to 200 as my range here. But again, this again goes back into your ICP definition, right? So you can see here, we're slowly sort of narrowing down all these things, right? So now we're down to 4.5K, which is still quite a lot of leads. So you've got buying intent, you've got industry. I think we said earlier B2B, but to be honest, for my ICP, it's not that important yet. Maybe for us, we can try e-commerce. That's not an option here. What do they have? Oh, wait, we can do company keywords. Let's do that. Let's do e-commerce. Cool. So we've really narrowed it down now for senior marketing decision makers in content marketing that work at companies relating to e-commerce and are in the US, and their company has between 10 and 200 people. So you can see we can get hyper specific here, right? Like Apollo AI is just such a great tool. I just tell everyone about it. Cool. So let's save this search for now. Let's say content marketing decision makers at 10 to 200 employees. Let's save that for now. And what we're going to do is actually select. We're going to do max one person per company, select these. And we're going to add it to a list. So we're going to create a list. Right? So what do we call it? Content marketing decision makers. Let's call it something simple. Create this list and we'll save it. So when you're on the free plan, you can only add 25 at a time. So you can't just select the 100 and something leads and add it to your list at once. But if you don't want to pay, that's sort of a very low price to pay. Cool. So now we've got that. Let's export our list. So if we go back to our plan, we've got our list. For this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it to 225 people. But if you're doing this for real, obviously you'll build a much larger list within Apollo.io. Okay, next step is to export the list, right? So what we're going to do is go to saved leads. We've got our list here. And what we can do now is select everything. And then what we can do is we can export the leads. So to be honest, we don't actually need the emails. The reason I say that is because the pricing has a limit on emails. So as you export more and more emails, you sort of use up your export credits and that sort of stuff, right? So if you're on the free plan, it's actually quite limited. Anyways, so maybe in order to not use my free credits on this account, I'm just going to export, let's do the top 5, right? So let's export this. We're just going to export the emails. Let's export the records. Download the CSV. Awesome. And then what I'm going to do now is open it in Google Sheets. So I'm going to open this. Drag this in. Cool. So we've got our lead list now. It's looking pretty good. You can see there's a lot of stuff in here, right? Got their emails, LinkedIn, so much stuff. This is why I like Apollo.io so much. Got their emails, we got their websites. We really have basically everything we need. Their location, country, address. We even have their technologies, revenue estimates, funding, so much stuff that you can personalize on, right? Cool. So now we've exported it into here, we're going to go into make.com and build out the whole enrichment flow. Enrichment's probably not the right. We're going to build out the flow where we research each of the leads and then generate a custom first line, right? So what we're going to do here is first do a Google Sheet, and this is just going to pull in the data from Google Sheets. So I'm going to do search rows. I'm going to connect this. I think it's called Apollo Contact Exports. Go to our spreadsheet. It's all looking good. And then just for while we build this, let's just do 1. And if we run this, we have the first row. So Marco. Nice. So we've got all of this stuff here. So this is where we can sort of decide what we want to do, right? We could actually just straight up come up with the whole email right now. We don't necessarily have to just do a first line. We can actually just generate the full email. For me, I generally do a mix. It kind of depends on what I'm doing specifically. Maybe in this case, you want to personalize the whole email with AI, in which case you would just do that. But yeah, for now, let's stick with our plan, which is we're just going to do the first line. And I'm just going to make this line, this column yellow, just so we can see what we're doing. So what we're going to do is pull in all of this data that we've sort of gone from Apollo.io, run it through our make.com workflow, when we'll do like lots of steps, and I'll walk you through that in just a little bit. Combine all that data using AI to generate a very personalized first line that we will then import back into Apollo.io to then write very customized cold outreach emails. Cool. So we've pulled this data into make.com. So there's a couple of things we can do, right? So step one is to use DumplingAI and just straight up scrape the company website. And we have the website in the data, right? If you remember, one of the first pieces of information we pulled here is the company website. Where is it? Oh, company website right here. So what we're going to do here is look at company website. Website's right here. Looking good. And what Dumpling AI will do, just to show you quickly, is it can help you extract data from a web page, but in a clean way. So if you normally scrape a website, if you use the HTTP module in make.com, you'll get all the HTML back, right? The HTML is very noisy. It's got all the menus, the footers, like all the HTML tags, all that sort of stuff. You can clean it yourself manually. I obviously use my own product, Dumpling AI, just to clean that data for me. We do have paid plans, but for your first 100 credits, it's completely free. So if you're just scraping Markdown from websites, each page will only cost 1 credit. So you can do 100 pages for free. Anyways, so I'm going to do that. So this will pull in the Markdown from the website. So if I just run this, beginning again. Using my wrong API key. I have too many API keys because I've been doing a lot of testing. Okay, so it seems to be working now, and we will pull in the Markdown. Yep, so we've got the content for market or verb.tech. Let's have a quick look at the website. Also here, so it's pulled in. Looks like they do curated shopping experiences for top influencers and brands. Quite a lot of cool stuff. Interesting. So she looks quite cool. Anyway, so we've pulled down their page, so we can obviously reference that in our email. The other thing we can reference is obviously if there's any recent news and that sort of stuff. So what I like to do sometimes is I use Perplexity. So we can do this, create a chat completion. And if you don't have Perplexity yet, you will need to go to Perplexity AI and set up an API key. And again, this is a paid service. So you don't have to do this. I like doing this just to pull in a bit more of the, recent news. I'm going to use the large model, and I'm just going to say the role is user. Can you find some recent news on, say, company? I'm going to put in the website as well, because sometimes companies have the same name. So just to make sure that we are researching the right company, whereas company website. As well as we're going to see if we can find any news on the actual person, right? As well as John Rizzo and title. She can. Cool. Let's do that. And then max tokens, let's do 500. And let's just do 1 in terms of temperature. So max tokens is just controlling the length of the output for this run, whereas temperature is, you can think of it as a measure of randomness. So if it's 0, then it should technically give you the same output every time. As you go up, it will be a bit more random, or some people like to think of it as how creative the AI model is. Cool. So let's run through that and see what we've got. So this should scrape the website again, and then we'll have Perplexity run and pull in recent news on the person and the company. Let's see what it says. So recent news. It's got a bit of overview here as well, which is good. Yeah, so if you just want general knowledge on the company, this actually works pretty well. I like to pull the website down because then you can make specific references. Like, I don't know if this company has a very detailed website, to be honest, but some companies will have special terminology on their website. So maybe they have a branded term or something like that. And because if you scrape their website, that comes in and you can sort of reference it, pass it into the AI. But yeah. Looks like we've got, quite a lot of information here. Cool. So if we're generating a first line now, it's pretty simple, right? We've pulled in all this information that then just pass into ChatGPT to generate the first line. So using the ChatGPT module, we're going to create a completion. And we're going to use GPT-4o. I'm going to say system prompt. You are a cold email specialist. The user provides you with a lead with details on a lead. Please come up a high conversion first line. And here might also share some details around my offering, right? So we are Dumpling AI. We offer AI web scraping and data extraction services. We also offer AI automation services. Cool. And then what we're going to do now is pass in everything that we've just collected. So what I'm going to start with is the output from Perplexity here. I just realized I've got to explain what Perplexity is. So if you guys haven't used Perplexity, Perplexity is a AI search engine. They're like, I think they're trying to be a Google competitor. You can ask questions and it will search the web and then pull in a summarized result. So it's kind of like ChatGPT and Google had a baby is the way I would explain it. Anyways, so coming back here, I'm going to pass in what Perplexity came up with, which is this. Then I'm going to pass in what we scraped from with Dumpling AI, so for their website. And then finally, let's just pass in all this stuff, the relevant stuff from Apollo, which really is just their first name, last name, title, which is like a bit duplicative, but the other stuff is not actually that useful for coming up with code line, first line. And I usually just put in the city and state as well. Cool. So let's go with that. And then max tokens, since it's just the first line, it doesn't really have to be very long. So we're just going to make the max tokens 250. And let's go with that. We respond with the first line and nothing else. Cool. So let's run through it from the beginning. Nice. We've got a first line. We don't need the hi John, so we can remove that from the prompt. We probably want it to be slightly longer, but I mean, that works. This is already better than what I've been getting out of the Apollo IO AI first lines. So that's not bad. Maybe let's try to get it to write a full email. So in this case, we'd probably want to put in a bit more detail into the prompt. So maybe like common pain code. And if we're doing the whole email, we probably want it to respond in HTML. Maybe not. Let's just keep it like this. Cool. Let's run through it again. It's generating the email. Have a look. Oh, I forgot to increase the tokens. Well, that's not bad, actually. So, hi, John. Hope this email. Thrilled to see. Yeah, and we can get the AI to relate these to the business as well to make it super personalized. So let's see. Make sure you try and relate each of these to the leads company. All right, cool. Anyway, so we've got this. What we need to do now is write it back into our Google Sheet, right? Which is the yellow column we made earlier, the first line. So what we need to do is drag in another Google Sheets. We're going to update a row. Right, and we're just going to select the spreadsheet again, select our sheet, and then the row number will just be what we got from the first block here, which is 2. Row number contains header, and we don't need to update any of the other values. All we need to update is this first line. And we should probably change the name of first line because we're not doing that anymore. We're just literally coming up with a email. And maybe we just go back to doing first line. Might be a bit easier. Okay, maybe let's just go back to first line. I'll change the prompt again, but let's do that. And then I will say, let's change this. With a high converting first line for cold email outreach. And then the first line should be 1 to 2 sentences. And then that's really enough. Nice. So let's run through this. Cool. So it looks like it's run. If I go back here, have a look at what this is. Not bad, not bad. It's actually not bad. Very personalized. So I'm going to say we don't need this initial hi John, but, we can keep it. Really, doesn't really matter. But I will tell it not to do that before we move on. You do not need to address the lead. We already do this in our template. Cool. That's good. So what we need to do next now is so this is obviously an example. Imagine we've run it for our leads. So really you'd probably be doing this for like a few hundred leads. So you would have exported a few hundred from Apollo. You would have set this up and then you run it through all of these. And the way you do that is you can change this to be a higher number and then add a iterator module here so that it runs through everything all in one run. Or if you don't know how to do that and you want to keep it simple, you can just make this run every minute for however many times you want and just run that way. I would recommend using the iterator, but up to you. So assuming we've done all that and then we have our first lines, right? Let me just quickly run it again. So our first line is what we would expect. The next step is to import this back into Apollo.io, right? Import it back into Apollo.io and save it as a variable on the contact. So then we can reference that variable in our email sequences, right? So to do that, this is the hard part, I would say, is you actually need to then come up with a new field. So I'm going to go to my list that I just saved, which is this. Let's just click someone, John. You can see all the data is here, right? Which is really good. What we're going to do is we're going to add a custom field, right? So I'm going to call this custom field first line, and it's going to be single line text. And let's just do max text length 250, same as our AI completion, right? So that's looking good now. So what we need to do is kind of like this, just make it a bit easier. Right, so we've got that. What we're going to do now is make sure it's aligned. So I'm going to change this column name to first line. You can see this is the new first line that's generated. It doesn't have hi John anymore, but it's still very personalized. I like it a lot. So what we need to do now is import this into Apollo. So I'm actually just going to delete all these other leads because we haven't run it on them. Actually, let me just show you. I want to delete 2 leads. We'll just run it on 3 leads. I'm going to show you how to do the iteration, just because otherwise everyone's going to be asking questions. So depending on how many leads you want, let's say we have 3. Shit. Here it is. So we want 3 rows returned from Google Sheets. Then if I just run this module, it's going to come back with a bundle 1, bundle 2, bundle 3. What we need to do here is use the array aggregator to turn it into what we want. So we need the row number. We need basically everything we used. Just select all is easier. And then what we're going to do, if I move this across, is then use the iterator. And what this will do is just run through each of the items in the array that we've just created. This will be the array that's coming out of there. And we will need to update everything. So DumplingAI will now be the iterator, the URL, which is, I think, this one, website. This will also need to update. So we need to do company and then where did the website go? Company website, this one here. And then we also ask it to research the person, right? So we did, I think it was first name, last name, title, company, and then email. That's good. And then in here, let's see if we reference anything. Yes, we do. We reference the lead again. So I think it's first name, last name, title, company. Let's go with that. And then in here, we just need to update the row number that's being updated now with the value from the iterator, which should be, where is it? Where did row number go? Ah, here it is, row number. That should be good. Updating result. So now when we run it, all 3 of these leads should have the first line appear. So let's run this. So it's running for the first lead and it will iterate through each of them. So you'd see it's running again for the second one. So it goes to 2. And then 3. So if we go back here, you can see it's filling out. Wow, that's really good. Congratulations on being recognized as one of the top workplaces in London. Wow, super personalized. So good. Okay, cool. So you can see now, like if you had 100 leads, you could do something like this to run through all of them at once. So that's how you do the array and iterator in make.com. I know a lot of people get confused with this. So if you get stuck, just leave a comment below. I'm sure someone else can help you in the comments, or if no one's helping you, I'm sure I can jump in as well. Anyways, so we've got that now. We need to import this into apollo.io so we can use it as a variable. So if we go back now to our list, people. So what I need to do actually is export this first. So I'm going to download as a CSV. That's all good. And now I'm going to go here and I'm going to import a CSV, select, choose this. Probably should have named it something else. I'm going to hide the recognized columns. We don't need to map any of this stuff. Main thing we want to map is just the first line. We're mapping it to the custom field. Yeah, where did it go? I've lost it. Where did it go? It was just here a second ago. Sorry, map, so it disappeared. Okay, don't tick this. It's confusing. Okay, so I've mapped the first line, which is all I wanted. I think email, that's all good. So let's just not do that. Update the existing record with information. Cool. So it's all good. So that's import. Yes, I don't care about the other columns. I literally just want the first line. So we're going to import. And now it's importing our new data with our first lines. So if I go back here while it's importing and see if it's going to pop up soon. Who did we do? I think we did John. If we look at the custom field, nice. We have our first line in Apollo IO. Nice, nice. Okay, cool. So it's been a long journey, but we're here now, right? We've done the first 4 steps. Now we need to set up the cold email sequence. So now we get into the action, right? We get into the fun part. So what we need to do here is go to sequences. Let's create a sequence. If you're not sure what you're doing, I would recommend just using one of the Apollo IO templates. They're good starting points. If you are an expert, then obviously you know what you're doing and you can make your own. I'm just going to click one of the templates for the tutorial. So maybe what we're going to do is do something sales bias, marketing bias. Let's do this, right? So we're going to create and customize. I'm going to use this template. Or loading. But while it's loading, I can click in. I don't want to do this anyways. So you can see here, it's referencing all these variables, right? And this is the template. We probably don't need any of this. We're going to rewrite it all. But the main thing that I want to show you is how you use the first line, right? So what you want to do here is you can press this add a dynamic variable, and then you can type in first line under custom. You press that, and bam, your first line is now in here, which is really good. And then the rest of it can just be your templatized email, right? So what to write, I'm very good at this. We should have saved the custom email that ChatGPT came up previously to use here. So we'll say Dumpling AI can help you extract clean web data at scale to supercharge your content generation, content repurposing, and competitor monitoring, right? So let's just copy this over. Right. Not my best work, definitely, but just to show you an example of what this could look like. And then if we generate a preview for John, because we don't have first lines for a lot of these people. So I'm going to choose John. Where's John? This guy. There we go. You can see that the first line that we generated before is now inserted. And this is much better than the first lines that Apollo IO's AI email feature generates. So, which is why we went through all this effort. We can see now our first line is inserted here. Anyways, so once you've got your template set up, I would change the subject line too, but you get the point. You've sort of set up your template. It's all ready to go. Press save. So this is all saved. You can sort of set up your day threes, all that sort of stuff as well. And just to be clear here, like you don't only have to generate a first line, right? You can generate lots of things. You can generate first line. I don't know, before we generate a full email, you can generate like custom quotes, all that sort of stuff, custom examples. You can make lots of different custom variables and you can insert them into all the different like emails you have as different variables, right? Like what I'm showing you in this tutorial is just how you connect all these different tools together. And I'm just connecting one field. But once you understand how to connect one field, you can connect as many fields as you want. Anyways, so that's how you set that up. And once it's all done, all you have to do is press this, activate the sequence, and it will start sending. And that is the final step here. Now, before we wrap up, a couple of other, I guess, housekeeping matters here to make sure you're doing this correctly. In order to send, you will need to connect your inbox to Apollo.io. When you sign up, they will sort of walk you through that. I connected it to my Gmail inbox, so it's working really well. Once it's connected, they help you manage the volumes that you're sending through your email so that you don't ruin the deliverability. So I think by default, it caps out at 50 emails per day. If you want more emails, you can obviously connect more email inboxes and sort of rotate all that. And Apollo.io will manage all of that for you and all that sort of stuff. And then Apollo.io also has like analytics for your emails. So what percentage has been read, percentage has been replied to, interested, opt out, all that sort of stuff. Apollo.io will manage for you. So really, really good, really, really easy to use. And yeah, it's just such a great tool. And if you're building this as a service for customers, you just get so much out of the box that if your customer doesn't have any sort of outbound called up email motion at the moment, just setting up Apollo.io, even without all the AI stuff we talked about today, is such a massive improvement from where they probably are today. Anyways, that's it. I'm not going to send these emails because my template is so bad. So I'll probably, after this tutorial, I'm going to fix up my email templates a little bit so that it's a bit more tailored for Dumpling AI. But I do really like where these first lines are going. You can see that they are super, super tailored to each of the companies. So like if I receive this email, I'd probably think a human wrote it, which is, I guess, what you want. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. This was a bit longer than usual. If you have any questions, feedback, or thoughts, please do leave a comment. And also please do let me know if you prefer these longer form, more detailed tutorials compared to the sort of shorter ones that I usually do. And if you have any ideas for what I should make videos on in the future, please do let me know. Now, if you like this tutorial and want to support the channel or just want to see more videos like this, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me out a lot, keeps me going, making these videos. And finally, before I wrap up, if you do have web scraping and extraction needs, please do check out Dumpling AI. If you need help automating your business with AI or implementing AI in your business, there is a link to my AI automation services in the description of this video. But with that, I'm going to wrap up today's video and I'll see you in my next video.